We're reviewing the 24th of October patch notes now. As of speaking, it is not the 24th of October. In fact, this happened yesterday at 12:39 p.m. So one could say I'm a little late to this. But I think it's relevant enough. And I haven't even looked at all of it. I've only seen snippets of relevant parts. So let's go through it. Let's go quick mode so that we don't spend too long talking about stuff that isn't important. I won't read out everything unless it's relevant. I'll just talk about the overarching thing. New experimental matchmaking mode, Hero Labs, to invite people and giving design feedback. This seems good. It's basically like a more chill, more casual way to test heroes. Now that they added rank, there's no way that you want new heroes to be tested in rank, because either no one's going to play them or everyone's going to play them because they're either broken or not. So, I assume that the heroes here are only available in here and the experimental heroes aren't available anywhere else, which would be pretty standard stuff. This is good. We'll probably queue some if I don't feel like playing ranked, or if ranked hours are out, basically. Commands, standard stuff, new shader to make visibility more clear, pretty important. We don't want to be playing like CS tier visibility. Let environments, they fixed this twice, I think, since the last update, but in any case. A whole bunch of quality of life, a whole insane host of quality of life. I mean, you can read this stuff, and if it's important to you, it's important to you. A lot of this stuff is important, but it's not the kind of thing that you can really do. Add a reset camera by. We are here playing on controller. Deadass with controller deadlock plays. Maybe there's some merit to it. There's not actually any merit to it. Anyway, gameplay. AP no longer grinding from walkers. Shrine flex slot moved to all shrines, which was, I'm surprised this wasn't the case already. Now you have to actually push both sides of the map, or actually dominantly push, not just rush in from like top or bottom lane and pop off once. And the AP from Shrine, Patron, and Walkers is redistributed to souls, basically meaning that you're not going to get screwed if on ability points if one team is rushing objectives versus if the other team is farming, basically. Soul orbs weighted more towards healing, less towards orb in early game, since this is only in the early game, and now have a buffer for better latency calculations. That's good. Basically just a slight delay on acquiring the souls, so I can spend a better time in determining who got it. All good stuff. Breakable souls, basically all nerfed. They were a little bit too starting to become worth farming, which is kind of, I don't think that's what they're supposed to be. It's supposed to be opportunistic, I think. Earn comeback properties. Basically, this one I read through. The synopsis of this is, if your team is losing and you get the earn's going to be easier to get for you. It's going to be on your side. You see in the little mini map here in this corner. And if you're beating the enemy team, you're going to have to go to their side to deposit the earn. And this basically it means that the winning team can't keep getting the earn over and over and cashing it in, because the winning team is going to have easy access to the middle of the map more often than not. And so, it's going to be harder to get like in here, but I wouldn't say it's too hard. I would say it's still like, it just means you have to clear out the walkers of that side, basically, is what I would say. Some more minor changes, more resist for Guardians. They're going back on the philosophy of towers can't defend themselves. They're realizing, the game's a bit different to Dota. Let's try and make the towers defend themselves a bit, which I think is fair. It was way too easy to get towers, in my opinion. And it still probably is, but let's find out. Walkers now have resist. This is key, because if one guy lost his lane dominated and got screwed, the walker was basically done, because you couldn't leave to go and defend it if everyone else was still contesting lane, right? And so you would just get ran over. This at least gives you time for your other teammates to win the lane or figure it out and help you out. I think it buys more time, less focus on you if you struggle early. Troopers now gain spirit resist gradually. That's interesting. This actually means that I guess depending on the thing, right? Obviously, the splash spirit resist won't really matter that much, but it will make that the rejuvenator buff for health more impactful. Like you can't just farm troopers with your ability. This is also very annoying for playing like Great Talon. Just spam your arrows and line them up and farm troopers. But backdoor protection range, protection detection range. Harder to kill troopers approaching the objective with long range spells to stall, making the game think you are backdooring when you aren't. I'm not gonna lie, I can't even pass that information. I think it's referring to when you're on your side, one trooper is pushed in on basically in between your troopers, pushed their lane like zipline up. And what they're doing is changing that. This this is actually beyond my current ability to pass. I'm apologizing. Like this is terrible for me. Okay, Midwest respawn timer decreasing from 7 to 7/6/5 each time you kill it. This is probably a good idea, and it means that you can actually have an ebb and better ebb and flow. You know, one team kills the mid boss, and then if there's actually a back and forth, then you can actually do mid boss regularly. Instead of it felt awkward sometimes where you were dominant over an enemy team, and you didn't have the positioning to go for the shrines, and you didn't have the mid boss because you did it and then it hasn't respawned yet. Hopefully this fixes that. Respawn timing and curve changed. Phase guardians and shrines no longer regen. Out of combat. Assume that means at all. Parry buffed. We love to see it. This is the more annoying part. I hate when I parry and then or I misclick parry and then like for 5 seconds. I mean 4.5 is not that much different, but it's better, right? But a trooper, the rework here basically means that the initial behavior is the same. It used to be 6 seconds for each heal cooldown. Now it basically means first, you got 2 charges. First charge is 6 seconds between it. So the first 2 heals are the same, but the next heal will take ages. Basically, I don't think it actually changes much. I think it basically, like what they say here, waves pushing on their own. If you're just pushing your lane and farming, you have the same heal trooper continuously healing you, it wouldn't do that anymore. But in lane, it won't matter because you'll be killing and trading and everything. So it won't actually make a difference. Map changes, no point in reading them here, just play it. I mean, they moved the neutral camps from down here, upper floor. I mean, we'll just figure it out when we play in it. Map changes zipline nodes to outer lanes. I assume that means like turning, physically speaking. Okay, items and heroes and stuff. There's not that much, but we have to consider it. Weapon damage reduced, cooldown increased. So nerf the restorative shot, buff the rapid rounds, nerf to monster rounds, rework to HVM. Restorative shot probably still equally as relevant because it's got a specific job and it does its job. Nothing else does its job. Rapid rounds, the problem I have with rapid rounds is that it doesn't upgrade into anything. I think rapid rounds should upgrade into burst file, but then it will probably burst file will probably be a must. It will be a must pick item because you kind of, what do you call it? Everyone would just pick it on most gun builds because it's like an upgrade item, and rapid rounds is pretty good early game, all things considered. It's only pure stats. It doesn't have a utility, which a lot of 500 items, like monster rounds especially, it has a utility, and rapid rounds pretty much only has its effect. It's like literal stat buff, which is not the thing that you want in an early item. So I think it should have an upgrade, but maybe they'll cook it. Bullet velocity reduced. I assume this basically just means it's not. They don't want it to be so focused on, because it was kind of a bit busted in that if you're playing a character that would automatically lose a lane in terms of denying souls, you buy HVM, it's a must buy. Otherwise, you have no chance. Maybe they're trying to change it. I don't think it changes that much because they are buffing it in the other ways that are relevant. Melee charge, even more nerfs. Probably still a must pick item for all melee builds because there's only like 3 melee items. So it is what it is. Long range no longer grants ammo and now buffs. I think this is buffs your reload time. So I think that this makes sense because it didn't really track that a bunch of items gave you ammo that weren't related to Titanic Mag. And it kind of made people not buy Titanic Mag, and instead of you just buy these stuff, you get a bit more ammo, but you also get way more buffs or other stuff. Buffs reload time instead. Reload time is not something we really see change, so this is actually kind of key. I might consider adding long range or buying long range and playing Talon, because it's kind of Talon's also got buffs, which I do know about. Active reload now grants ammo instead, which kind of it makes sense because active reload's active effect is what should give you the buffed reload, right? Mystic shot cooldown increased and evasion change. Evasion is not actually that common of an effect. It's just Mirage. Fuck Mirage's evasion, by the way. That shit should not be happening. But anyway. Burst fire grants low resistance. Already my gun Bebop build is eating. This is the same buff. It's an upgrade to long range, you know. So it's just tracks. Same comment there. Tesla bullets cooldown can be reduced by cooldown reduction. That seems pretty pog. Tesla bullets 7 build. We go crazy on those. And of course, I mean, everybody would be able to run this if you're running a spirit build that has some gun effects. Titanic Mag grants a lessened spirit instead of a better bullet resist. I think they're trying to rework bullet and spirit resist sources where you can get them from, trying to manage it a bit better. And melee damage resistance, this is pretty big. People would probably now buy Titanic Magazine against like Abrams, to be honest, because it just I mean, it's a good utility item anyway. You're never really gonna regret getting more ammo unless you're not playing a gun build. Know what I mean? Lucky shot also pierces evasion. Vampiric burst, a slight buff. We vibe with those. Extra health now upgrades into 40. Extra health is now a must buy for so many. Extra health into Fortitude. Fortitude is such a good item. It's so slept on. It just auto does its job and you don't even need to think about it. Extra health into Fortitude goes crazy, man. It's already such a cool early item. It gives you a slight weapon damage buff as far as I understand it. So that's crazy. That's crazy. Extra regen no longer has health. It's already still good for the regen. You don't need 25 health for it. Extra stamina, slight health buff. Negligent. Reactive barrier ammo increased. It didn't really need it, but that's chill. During speed slow resist reduced. These are minor tweaks. We don't really need to worry about it. Insanely large 20-second cooldown nerf for Majestic Leap. They tweaked it a little bit. I said last time it wouldn't really change it. This time it does change it. 45 seconds is pretty big. It means that you can't just keep insta-flanking all the time. You know, you're playing pocket or whatever. So it's not going to change the fact that you need to buy it because there's no alternative. But it does mean that pocket's not going to, like pocket and similar characters. The Warden alt build won't be as annoying, but it's not like you're jumping with Warden without your alt anyway. So it won't matter for Warden. But Rescue Beam pulse speed reduced and sprint reduced. Rescue Beam is pretty good, but you don't see it in lower to mid tier games. You only see it in high tier games because you don't want to do it to randoms. To be honest, buffs to Fortitude, insane. It was already a good item. Now I'm thinking it's going to be, people are going to realize it's been slept on, but it's getting better. So really, they're waking it up, to put it that way. Buy Fortitude if you're running a gun build. It's just bonus health and damage. Why would you not buy it? Buff to Veil Walker. They did nerf it pretty hard. Not giving it the weapon damage, I think it was, or the ammo, one of the two that got removed. So they're making the utility of it more relevant. I mean, it is a vitality item. It should have more vitality effects, which makes sense. Superior stamina zero power increased, kind of unnecessary buff in my opinion. Soul Rebirth no longer has cooldown reduction and cooldown increase for Soul Rebirth. I mean, this is kind of The only reason I bought Soul Rebirth in some situations was because of the cooldown reduction, so I pretty much will never be buying Soul Rebirth unless I'm playing. Trying to think. Most of the characters I play don't really thrive when they get Soul Rebirth, because if I die in the middle of the action and I come back, I'm just gonna die again. I'm not playing like Shiv, you know. Soul Rebirth on Shiv kind of makes sense, because once you're back, you can get right back into the action. Leech cooldown reduction is insane. The spirit power change is like minor, but the cooldown reduction is pretty insane, brother. Leech is now what you buy instead of Soul Rebirth, but you're already buying Leech most of the time. So of course, Siphon Bullets buff, it's minor, but we'll take it. They're reworking what gives you bullet resistance, spirit resist. Unstoppable no longer granting it. Phantom Strike no longer granting it. I mean Unstoppable granting it instead of spirit, which makes sense because Unstoppable is temporary. Is the bullet resist here talking about when active or not when active? I assume not when active. I can actually just check. I don't know why I'm asking this. Resources, browse items. Unstoppable. It's perma. Surprised how little effects it actually has. How the user is pretty much the only thing Unstoppable does. It doesn't really do much apart from that, which is fair. It's really strong. Colossus, I still pretty much never see Colossus get used, but it must have a use because some builds I do see have it. It's probably a niche. Interesting. Okay, we're approaching the end, so let's savor every moment. Mystic Reach, slight nerf to the reason you buy it, but I mean, Mystic Reach. The thing with some of these items is that because what they do is irreplaceable, you're still gonna buy it. It's just gonna be a matter of like how oppressive is it to play against, and I think this is probably good. Some items like radius-based items go crazy on Mystic Reach. Like 7 orb maxing, I saw that they nerfed it, but we'll get to that. Ammo Scavenger duration increased. Is that a... Let me check that. Is that a buff? Ammo Scavenger... That's a buff, I believe. I mean, they reworked it to make it take longer to get, so it makes sense that you would keep it for longer. I think that's fair. Okay. Withering Whip is faster to hit people. Cold Front, double damage to NPC units. Are you gonna buy Cold Front to farm? You can at least use it to farm now. Improve cooldown, grant Spirit Shield. They already made it grant that, no? Or was the hell am I tripping? Following Hex nerf, so we love to see that. Duration Extender now grants weapon damage. Unnecessary, but we love to see that. Although you kind of never really bought Duration Extender unless you needed it for something. So maybe this means it's actually worth just buying if you're not running a spirit build, you just buy it. Maybe. Melee resistance to bullet resist shredder. We love to see melee resistance show up. It's a new stat, I believe. Surge of Power gives you fleet foot when you proc it. So you don't need to double up on the thing. Oh no, you would probably still want to keep it. You can just spam them both. I see. It's like move speed nerf, but I mean, you're basically getting a move speed buff here if you didn't have fleet foot. Improved reach. I mean, these are minor tweaks. Let me just skip over most of these, like literally 1% changes. Ethereal Shift active no longer grants spirit power or reloads, but now gives you move speed and spirit resist. Okay, that makes it's more of a defensive tool now. It used to be an offensive tool. It makes sense for it to be defensive because now you can't cancel it when you want to. So they know when you're going to be out and they can target you, but you have more survivability. That makes sense. They're reworking the item, the angle of it. Balance Spirit and Improved Spirit, they keep buffing the item and people are still not buying it because it's literally, it only gives you raw power. I think it is worth it. It's just that, you know, it's so all items give you a little unique effect. This one is the only one that really doesn't do it. Well, among others, right? So it's going to take a lot more. Eventually, they're just going to buff it to the point where buying it gives you a power spike on some characters. And it'll make sense to buy it for a character that needs the power spike. Like Talon, I think, benefits a lot from it because your one just goes crazy. And your bird, of course. Weapon power increased. I mean, like I said, slight tweaks, hero changes. Let's go over this. Nerf to melee and fixes overall. So is Abrams the only character with a reduced melee rate? That's interesting. That's interesting. I think that's fair. I think that's fair because you're not gonna change. I think they want to make sure that you actually you do more than just melee. I think they want to actually make you like you can do your charge heavy melee, and then you want to shoot a bit, and do other stuff. I think they. I don't think they're happy with purely the melee build, which kind of you could get away with just meleeing to win. I mean, certainly you can still do that, but I think they're trying to prevent Abrams from being like a pure noob stomper for people because they're adding resist and they're buffing parry. Basically, they're saying even for the noobs who don't know how to parry, or for people in the high level when parrying becomes like a game of chicken, will they, won't they? You can still get around it. I think that's fine. I'm not an Abrams like player, so it doesn't hurt me, but I think it's fair. Bomb now loses more stacks. Bomb builder pretty nerfed. I think this basically means you can't be dying a lot. Bullet growth increased. We are eating good bullet bebop mains. Great talent. Insane buffs here, by the way. Gunspirit scaling was already nice. They're buffing it even more because it was, relatively minor. We love those. Base vision increased is a minor change. We love those. Move speed now scales spirit power again. This is the fucking change we needed. We needed this back. Because now you can just fucking run around the map. You can hit those arrows. Because when you hit the arrow, you don't move very fast at all. So you want to be able to go fast so that you can get in position to just tap it and go. Don't even worry about it. We love that. Strafe speed with stamina increased by 30%. Random arrows. Now you can actually dodge shit in midair. Now you can fight a fucking Vindicta. Please. Okay, Afterburn nerf early game. That's chill. Minor tweaks. Damage increased but growth reduced. I mean, that's basically fair. Starts stronger, doesn't get too much stronger. Fixed frozen shelter, not freezing, weakened patron. Yeah, I think that this was a bug, I believe. But I don't remember it. Malice no longer causes you to unzoom on cast. Ah, right, when you right click then you press it. Yeah, okay, I see. Amp is pretty nerfed, but they added it back to the tier 2. Basically, now you gotta upgrade it. It's not as oppressive early game. That's fair. And nerfed in general, though. But, I mean, you're gonna be spamming it anyway. So it's not a big deal in late game. But in early game, you were like fucked for a little while, got tagged. So I think that's fair. I think these are buffs to McGinnis, which is miserable. You don't need to make the cooldown better. Okay, they made it worse and then made it a little bit better. That's fine. That's fine. But it didn't need to be better, in my opinion. The turrets you really don't need to make the turrets more annoying. You don't. But that's, you know what? Hopefully, it's just a very annoying character to play against. It's not even necessarily that strong. Like, you beat the McGinnis, but you don't feel like you're having that much fun. But I think that maybe you got to separate the turret characters and the wall characters. Because if one character can turret a wall at the same time, it's kind of annoying. And the gimmicks are, like, irritating to play against. But anyway. Tier 3 Scarabs buff. Cooldown buff. Alt Grunt Unstoppable kind of goes crazy. Mirage buffs, but not buffs in like the standard terms. I don't know if they needed the buffs. I think the Traveler buffs were necessary because the ult is kind of being underutilized in favor of just shooting. But these are minor tweaks. I don't think it'll make a difference. Headshot crit reduction. It is hard to hit the headshot anyway, so like, fuck this character in general. Burrow, bullet, and spirit resist now persist when spinning out the burrow. Fuck you, Mohawk Curl, as if that was necessary. Pulse grenade changed to a time instead of fixed count. Basically, I'm considering whether you can get a pulse grenade build. I don't know if it'll be worth it, but I think it'll be fun to try. Slight buffs to carbine, more damage on headshot. It's gonna be pretty hard to hit that thing, but I mean, we'll take those. Nerf to ball. Nerfs overall, but the ult increase, basically they're trying to get people to use the ult again. Expand time reduces a big deal because it took ages for that thing. Like, if someone wasn't immediately in the vicinity, they would just get out of the dodge, like out of dodge is the phrase. But anyway, right, we're getting to the end of this. Shiv, I believe, nerfs. I'm gonna read this. Yeah, build up reduced, speed reduced, radius of knives reduced. Thank you, by the way. Those things were a little bit too generous. Rework of the bloodletting. Cooldown increased and okay, they explained the overall nerf, but the impact has changed. It makes sense that bloodletting cooldown is long because you're not supposed to press it like twice in a fight. You're only supposed to press it once to clear one set of deferred damage. That makes sense. That makes sense. Gun cycle time improved, so they're reverting some of this fire rate. Now scale with spirit power. That's not going to be fun. 0.14. And you can now change your scope with your alt. That's it. Vindicta does suck in terms of like competitively, but Vindicta is annoying to play against. So I'm not happy to see this, but I think it is necessary. Tier 2 to tier 3 and more regen. That's pretty nice. That's kind of a buff because you know there's just more involved, right? But some nerfs. Nerfs to the damage, buffs to the utility. I think that's fair. Escape time reduced and escape range increased. That's a buff, right? Less time to get out, more range in which it activates. Tier 3 of alt now grants you unstoppable during channel. Thank you, and also fuck you. As I play Warden and I go against Warden. But the thing is, you were never really gonna kill someone ulting. This just means that you can now ult to like save yourself easier. You can ult mid-fight, which I was doing anyway. No one would really stop you. Like 2 seconds is not enough for someone to react and stun you unless they knew you were gonna ult, and no one does that right now. But it basically means that won't happen. Slight nerfs to Card Trick. It is an annoying ass ability early game, so that's fair. Base damage should be nerfed. And some slight tweaks. Overall, I'd say the focus of this update would be nerfing Abraham's melee and adding some, reworking some key items, and of course the big changes to like the earn changes is probably the most important stuff for me. I think earn changes to allow comebacks to be more doable is definitely the biggest one. You want to prioritize getting earn if you're not in the lead now, because it'll be easy for you and it'll be an easy way to come back into the game. It's a good mechanic now. I like that. I like that very much. That's my takeaway. That's been the patch notes.